Oh, welcome. Hello. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Of
Uh,
course.
so it's not morning where you are. So for us, it's 6 and 7 a.m. because we're on the Central and East Coast. So where are you? And tell me about that.
I'm in London right now. It's 12 o'clock, by the way, so it's good. It's much more reasonable time, I think. But I moved here like 7 years ago,
Mhm.
and I was in Istanbul before that, and before that I was in Vienna. So I've been a bit like, yeah, moving around within Europe. Um, but I'm really happy. I'm finally settled in London. I'm here for good. I feel like finally found my home kind of thing. So I'm happy here.
Also, tell me about your name. So you go by Guns,
Yes.
but there's a bit more to it than that, yeah.
Yeah, so actually like it wasn't something like, oh, I want to sound violent or anything. I'm actually very, by the way, against guns in general. Like I think they should be all banned. But my actual name is Gunsel, which is Turkish, which is really difficult to pronounce in school. And when because I came here for doing my MA in architecture actually, and um, there were two Italian girls that just kind of made up my name just because they couldn't pronounce it, so they said Guns to me all the time. And then the teacher started to call me Guns, and then I just thought, oh, when I introduce myself to people here in England, I just say Guns because it seems like people could just say that rather than ruining my name. So that's why it just stuck with me, kind of. It was very organic.
Awesome. Well, it ended up being a very punchy stage name, so pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I think it is also very problematic though, just because of obviously like weapons, but I find it very interesting because when I say guns here in London, because it's not really people are not exposed to that. So when I say guns, people assume it's muscles. But when I
Mm.
say it to someone in the States, everyone thinks of weapons. So it's very different
I
approaches. Like
much
people do
prefer
this or
the
do
muscle
this.
one.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Like no one thinks of weapons here. Everyone thinks of muscles. Every time when I say guns, they're like, "Oh, nice, nice guns."
I had to ask though, do you work out and make sure you have nice guns?
Oh no, never. I
Okay.
wish. I
Never
wish I
had
would
an
work out.
interview.
No,
DJ,
people
it's
do assume
probably
I'm a male though. Like that's the thing. Every time when people meet me, when I talk to them beforehand and I say my name is Guns, people always expect a man to show up. That's the little
Mm.
shocker when they see, oh, you're a girl. I'm like, yeah. Did
Do
it
you
change?
enjoy that, or how does that end up playing out? I'm curious how that plays out.
Yeah, it is definitely a moment of awkwardness for sure. Because I think they probably built a picture in their head, and yeah, I guess they think like I'm like a badass male. I don't know.
Big guns, yes.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But I enjoy it to throw people off. It's great.
Paige, you had a question?
oh, I was just commenting on I'm sure the DJ set itself is a bit of a workout. Do you find energy in the set or how is that for you?
Yeah, that like I never really exercised in my life, and loads of people say that I look really fit since I started teaching because it's proper cardio. It's like it because I do it also quite a lot. It does feel like cardio workout. I'm sweating, I'm on my feet, I'm dancing the whole time. I think it's quite, and mentally, I'm also obviously like occupied. It does feel really like a workout, to be fair. Um,
That's
at
great.
least I do some sort of exercise now, I guess.
I'm definitely going to circle back to the whole mindset thing in a little bit, but I would love to know just when did you get started DJing? How did you start this amazing thing?
Oh God, I'm honestly, and I'm so lucky. Like, I was in architecture for like 10 years, and in all, it was really miserable. Like, architecture is really competitive, especially here in London. Like, everyone, all the best architecture studios are pretty much here, and because of that, people are willing to work for very little. And everyone I know would be on like minimum wage, working till 11 o'clock. It's just awful competitiveness. And I've been in that world for a very long time. And then I started to try to go into like motion graphics, which is more like in kind of like After Effects style of like movies and stuff. So I could still use my skills, but it's not really architecture, which is great. And then my last boss was also a really good friend of mine. He was really mean to me, and he kind of like, I just couldn't stand it anymore. So I just quit in February. In March, COVID happened. So no studio was hiring anymore. I was sitting at home and I thought, oh, I might as well just stream what I'm doing at home. So I was just streaming, just honestly nothing. Like sometimes I was playing games, sometimes I was hanging online, sometimes I was designing. And then on stream, I said like, oh, I got this on Amazon, I have a deal for a DJ controller, and I always wanted to try it. So I tried it live in front of people, and people loved it. It went like from, I think it was like 6-7 people watching to like 30-40 people within a day. And then within a month, it was already hundreds. I think people just loved how transparent the whole procedure was. They were there from day one, how I opened my box and put it on the table. And till now, it's just, I think people are happy to just, because I think like so far, most artists, it's quite like a performance. They're not really transparent about how things work. And I think that was the thing that kind of got people hooked more than my skills. That those come way later, obviously. Like the beginning, I was obviously bad, but I think people enjoyed watching that kind of. I think. No, I'm really lucky. Like people loved it and supported me. It got to be my job now. Very
That's
weird.
fantastic. I mean,
So on your journey as you were learning your DJ skills and how your sound would be, do you have particular things that you like to sample, or is that come in more in your music producing?
I sample a lot. Which is on streaming can be sometimes not beneficial, because I think people do like people who interact with them on the microphone and streaming. But because I sample a lot, I'm not able to talk as much, because I'm constantly trying to actually make it the track on like from scratch on live, and because of that I'm less talking. But that's the weird thing. I know like for the audience it doesn't matter if I sample or not, they don't see the difference. So I should probably like talk more, because that's better for me. But I think I get quite bored when I just mix from A to B. I need to do stuff with it. I need to create something. And that's why I always call it happy accidents when I start to sample stuff and it sounds really well. And then I say happy accident, people in the chat say happy accident, which I think they're not even sure what it means. But yeah, I'm like, I myself get really happy. So it's more of a creative challenge by myself. So I think, yeah, I do definitely like sample stuff live a lot. But I think when it comes to producing, I don't know, it's quite a different mindset, I think. I'm really having fun while DJing. Not so much of producing, there's so much pressure of like, does it sound like this or does it sound like that? It's just the scare of wanting to sound unique, but what if people think, oh, this sounds a bit like this track or something? It's just, there's much more seriousness involved in creating a track for sure.
yeah, it's a bit of creating your own signature, I think.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to the point of, so all of your work so far has been streamed. You're primarily on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that community there, because you said you have to talk to them in a normal pre-pandemic life. It would be at a club. There maybe not be as much talking and back and forth. So tell me about that, and maybe it is the perfect training ground, but I'd love to hear about your community there on Twitch.
I feel like they're more like friends. It's like, especially like there's like a core 20-30 people group who are I've been there pretty much from the beginning. But also we have, do you know Discord is like a Slack, like Slack? So we hang out there a lot. Like we have this like video channel and people are just there all the time. You just go in the middle of the day and people are just hanging out, I don't know, play games or doing music or whatever. So it's really nice to put faces on people's nicknames. It's all of a sudden becomes a real person. And loads of people start to meet with each other within the States, traveling within the States to see each other. I had 3 people coming to London, which is great. So it's nice to, it doesn't feel online anymore as such, because I just know everyone so well. I know everyone's family, like their partners and kids and stuff. It's interesting how much involved you get into people's lives. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it doesn't feel like a, let's say like a community. It feels more like a group of big, weird group of friends, because there's people from everywhere. Honestly, it's just in every age, which is great. It's really nice. I'm really happy, very lucky again.
Do you have something in common outside of DJing, like an inside joke or just a thing that you guys love to hang out and talk about?
Yeah, for sure. Like loads of drinking games, and all of us have quite dark humor. I think like because I'm quite like, I don't know, I can be quite mean. Like I obviously like swear a lot and stuff on stream, and I think that kind of pulls certain people, because there's obviously lots of DJs who are very like sugar coated and are very like, you're amazing, you're that, everyone love peace, and then that brings a certain group of people. So I think the people that already joined the stream kind of have to have a certain amount of dark humor to even like the stream. Otherwise they'd be like, oh, she curses a lot, or I curse a lot, it's bad.
Like you're on Twitch, you gotta expect cursing a little bit.
The English did it to me. They're cursing a lot. I think I got it from them, I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah. And so I know, was it last month? I called you up out of the blue. You referred to me. And I tuned into your set and it was fantastic. And the style was dark and just very exciting and intense. And I'm curious, I gave you maybe 24 hours to prep. So when you get a call saying, hey, you know, or you decide I'm going to do a DJ set, how do you prepare? Like, what's your start to finish? How do you choose songs? How do you get yourself ready? Like, walk us through like a day in the life, and then the day in the life of the show. So like the prep and then the actual set.
Yeah, so I think so. I tried to prepare a set with Sophie Tucker first, the first time that I ever prepared a set. Because every stream, I just improvise. I just know the first song and then the rest just comes while playing. And with Sophie Tucker, because they're big and I wanted to impress them, obviously, I was like, let's prepare a set. And when I prepared it, I was so much more nervous, because normally I just sample live and I just do it on the go. But because I had like ready, like I need to get this vocal on this track and this bit in. And because it was prepared, it was so much more, I got really anxious, because I was like, oh no, I just lost one bar. I couldn't get the sample in. Should I wait one more bar? But I have half an hour set. That means it will be too long. Let's just skip the sample. It's just like there's so much going on. So I prepared one set. I think I prepared in total 3 sets, and then I just decided, okay, I'm not going to prepare sets anymore, because I perform actually much better when I improvise, because actually I'm happy to experiment and play around, and I'm much more relaxed. So I stopped preparing. I just know the first song that I'm going to play, and that's it. And then the rest is just however it comes. It's just luck. So Yeah, no preparation. The preparation that I do is the only big preparation that I really do is obviously my graphics and stuff. I'm really like on a day-to-day basis. Most work actually goes into the stream itself, how things look, how like the animations work. That takes a lot of time, more than the music itself. But I guess it's like because I stream probably around 10, 11 hours a week of just DJing, it just feels almost like second nature now. I feel so comfortable doing it. But obviously like visuals is always something that I need to prepare beforehand. And it's always me fighting against software. So that's the thing that consumes time a lot. That preparation time, unfortunately.
What software do you prefer?
Sorry?
Which software do you prefer for that?
Just like I use 3D softwares like right now. I do Adobe Premiere, Photoshop, Sketch. It's just taking one file to the other. It's just like a lot of just shuffling things around.
Yeah, so you don't only create the music, you create all of the visuals as well.
Yeah.
As a graphic designer myself, definitely geeking out about that part.
Thank you.
When you're pulling your visual samples and things, what kind of inspiration are you pulling from?
Ooh. I don't know. I think it's just like I'm a sucker for Pinterest, and I have like hundreds of boards that are curated right now. So I just have that one specific board that I absolutely love, which is very pretty much black, white, and gray colors, but it's more about the textures rather than on the typography, rather than like loads of like, I don't know, colors and stuff. It's more about the form and shape and the textures. So I'm just a fan of I can send you that board. I love that board. And that's pretty much my number one. When I want to do something new, I just look around them like, oh, I like that. I want to do something like this. It's still definitely the thing that I put the most effort in. It's a shame because like I wish I would do more. I do way less music actually than people like would think. I do much more visual stuff. But that was the thing that people got onto my channel in the first place. The reason why 30 people watching me wasn't because of my music. I was terrible. But everyone was saying, oh my God, your graphics are amazing, because Twitch's graphics are awful. Most of the time, they're really bad graphics. And that was the only thing that I know I'm capable of. So I'm going to use that as my like go-to thing. And obviously, it's a thumbnail that's going to catch your... It's not, no one hears the music, what's being played. It's a thumbnail. So I was thinking, okay, I need to work on how my thumbnail looks, basically, when I'm live. So that was definitely something that pushed me in front of a lot of DJs that are probably way better than me. So I'm still using that.
What's your aesthetic?
Yeah, I think it's like I said, like about more typography and textures and black and white kind of very form follows function idea of, rather than make it loud, make it minimal and to the point. Like I always found it weird, like you have these like Instagram stories where musicians promote their music, and when the bass drops, let's say they have a logo, whatever it could be. Sorry, I'm ill. Like there's an echinacea, it does this with the tempo. I'm like, what is that? That's like MTV 90s. Like, why are you doing that? It's so not subtle. It's so on your face, and like, I find it very cringy. I like things much more subtle and elegant. I think that's why the indie music, like the indie artists doing amazing artwork, like I always aspire to their work, rather than pretty much people that I aspire to are actually not in the electronic industry. They're in different genres. also it's the instruments a lot. I think there's a huge lack of real instruments in electronic. It's all just now, I'll just get it from a software, put some beats on, and that's it, or put some synths on. I kind of like to hear a real guitar, a real piano or something. And yeah, my inspirations don't actually come from the electronic music industry.
Where do they come? I know you also play piano. It was fantastic to hear you do that. Tell me about those influences.
I think films like push me the most, because I really like when I watch any film, I always listen to the theme music before I go to watch a film. So let's say I'm gonna watch Pirates of the Caribbean. I actually listen to the theme song before, so for all the songs, and then it's a very weird thing that I was doing, but I would always play them and then try to imagine what the scene would be like. Then when I go to the movie, see if it matches, because I feel like with film music, with film scoring, it's so much about storytelling. It's so much about a journey. It's so much about just like it goes up and down. It just feels it's emotional. It's composed to make you feel something. It's composed to make you scared, or it's composed to make you feel comfortable. Like the classic examples like Jaws, obviously, like dun 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 dun. That sound, the tempo, gives you the feeling. You don't need to see the shark. That sound enough, it makes you scared. And I really always loved that about film scoring. So for me, it was like, how can I do electronic music that sounds more like a film, that people feel something through it and they feel like powered or like feel scared or sad. I think my influence is mostly coming from film, I would say.
So here's a question. Have you ever listened to a track from a film before and decided just off of that track, it's probably not going to be the film for you? Not gone and seen it?
No, I think it's weird. I absolutely love Hans Zimmer. Like I obviously love him, but I find like Mission Impossible tracks quite bad. But because I already knew it's like Mission Impossible 6 or whatever right now, so I know it's gonna be a fun film. I guess it's an action movie, but that's always, the songs in there are always like a bit throwing me off. I'm like, I feel like he's not giving that much effort. I don't know why. But I never listened to like a theme song and thinking, oh, I'm not gonna watch that. It never happened. But I'm happy to accept that challenge. I like that to find the one.
This is too much. Well, it's funny you mentioned Hans Zimmer because I feel like his musical style is maybe one step away from DJing.
Yeah.
Mostly soundscapes that are just very acutely timed with the action. And from what I understand, he just creates a huge soundscape and then throws it onto the sound engineers to make it fit the action. So perhaps there's a little bit of overlap there. It's a curious thing.
Yeah, that's actually such a good way of, I never even thought of that. That's such a good way of putting it, because I think Hans Zimmer is one of the composers who, that sounds kind of shit, but who doesn't really have a style. Like because he can compose everything. He can do every sort of feeling. And because of that, I think he is really more like a DJ, because he can mix all genres. His variation is so, like, his portfolio is massive. Whereas for example, John Williams, he really has a sound. When you hear his music, you know it's him. Like, that's why people always think, oh, is the Indiana Jones track to Jurassic Park? No, they're just both John Williams. They just sound similar because he has a sound. He has a certain ways of using strings, and he always uses the same instrument. So there's nothing. He has a sound, but I guess because of that, he's not really like a DJ, because it's very it's one-dimensional, I guess, but it's I think basically you want to be a DJ like Han Zimmer, but you want to be a composer like John Williams, because he has a sound, he has a signature. When you hear his music, you know it's him, which is insane. Like to be able to do that without even seeing who composed it. Many people could guess that it's him.
Who exactly it is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're coming out, and seriously, no pun intended on this, you're coming out guns blazing.
I love that.
Honestly, take
What a
that.
line. What a line. That is amazing.
Because you have all of these other incredible attributes that you're just rocketing you up, to the top so quickly.
I'm like in that sense as well, but I'm also really lucky with surrounding. Like I have the person that did my album art, which is not out yet. It's insane. People are gonna lose their mind when the album's out. It's really, really beautiful, because the designer that I worked with, he's done a lot of amazing work, and he's a friend of mine. So I'm also lucky to be surrounded by amazing creative people who are like big names. And my husband, he's a director. So, for example, when we did my release stream, it was quite professional looking, and people were quite shocked. I'm like, yeah, it's my husband, he's a director. Like we have all the equipment. But I think people don't take it as serious because they think, it's just going to be another stream. But it was like very filmic. So I'm really lucky to have him as well, that he just, to be able even to rent that kit out would be, I don't know, 5-6 grand, but you just have it at home. If I would, or this camera that I'm streaming with is an amazing camera. It's his camera. Like many people stream with webcams. So I'm also really lucky, surrounded by these people. Like it's not just me, it's just people are also around me, pushing me and helping me out and stuff. So very, very, very lucky, honestly. Keep saying it, but it's true.
That's great. Well, it's good to have some people in your corner. When do you have an album coming out, or you're producing an album?
Yes. I don't know about the date yet, because we keep adding songs to it, which is not good. It was originally to be planned 6 songs, but now we are on 8. I hope it's not going to grow more.
That's a full-length album right there.
Yeah. But I can tell you the concept. Basically, the concept is it's gonna be, so Istanbul is the first track. The next track coming out will be London, and then it's gonna be just like parts of each city. It's basically East meets West as music. So there's gonna be 4 East tracks and 4 West tracks. And the instruments that are playing on both sides are going to be influenced by them. So it will be more like we have ney and ud, I think it's called in English, in Turkey. So it will be more instruments like that, whereas then it will be more violin and piano on West. So it's kind of like a contrast, but at the same time, loads of songs merge to each other, like in terms of instruments. So it's kind of like East meets West. That's kind of like the album theme.
Very cool.
Which I'm really happy about.
Is there, I know we're kind of coming up at time, is there anything that Paige or I didn't ask you that you would just love to say and love to talk about?
I mean, you asked all the great questions, honestly. I'm talking about stuff that I wouldn't have thought that I would talk about.
Well, how about where to find you on all the things?
How do we find you?
Twitch, Spotify, Instagram, all the places. Yeah. Hopefully one day in a festival, that would be great. But for now, it's just like social platforms, really.
What's
Twitch,
your handle?
I think, #1.
Twitch #1. What's your handle there?
It's everywhere. It's Gunsel Senol, which is so difficult to pronounce. So, but yeah, that's everywhere. It's the same handle right now, because it's difficult to get just guns when it's all taken everywhere.
Yeah, by people who are bodybuilders and weapons aficionados alike.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for meeting us this morning or afternoon where you are.
Yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, this has been really fun.